Mark, you've been a professional hunter for a lot of years, spent a lot of days afield and seen a lot of things go right and a lot of things go wrong. If you could impart to a client coming on safari kind of one bit of advice, what is that?
From a professional hunter's point of view, and probably professional hunters in general, there's nothing better than a client who's familiar with his rifle and has practiced a lot. I mean, you're going to have a client that is happy and an extremely happy PH at the end of the safari if he has done a lot of practice.
Yeah, and practice with double rifles in particular is also important because there are some differences. The most obvious of which is two triggers for a lot of guys that are coming from a one trigger world, so to speak, be it on their shotguns or double rifles. And I've seen it working with clients, and I'm sure you've probably seen it in the field where the shot presents itself and the first shot's placed well, and then the client keeps pulling on the first trigger, trying to get it the rifle to discharge again, and forgets that second trigger's there. And that's really, to your point about practice and developing muscle memory. We also encourage, again, lots of practice, but we also encourage our clients to get their rifles sooner rather than later.
Definitely.
Our rifles are all made to order, and that obviously takes time. With limited production, there's only so many that we can get out annually. So I encourage clients to effectively order early. I like to see them have at least a bare minimum of 6 months with a rifle, and ideally at least a year or so. The other thing I encourage guys to do is to shoot at farther distances, because most of them are coming to open sights again for the first time, or a lot of them are, used to shooting scopes, and coming back to open sights, there's sort of a re-familiarization, if you will. And a guy that practices a lot at 100 yards and becomes proficient at 100, those 50-yard shots seem like chip shots from there. And the same can be said for extending your comfort zone out to 150 and then bringing shots back into 75, 80, maybe even 100 yards open-sighted.
Yeah. The other thing you've also got to do is practice loading the double. A lot of guys, they fire both shots very quickly, and then they tend to fumble around and they can't get their shells out their cartridge belt because they've pushed them in too far. Or, yeah, I mean, a lot of guys actually think, no, you've got to load both shells at the same time. It's not necessarily that. I mean, you can, that's the joy of a double, is you can toss in one round if you need to.
Absolutely, and there are as many different ways to load a double rifle probably as there are double rifle shooters. But what's important, just like anything else in developing muscle memory, is that the shooter decides what's best for them and practices with that. Now, to go one step farther, in the world of double rifle practice, you know, Tim Fallon at FTW runs a great program there where they've got moving targets. They're set up, their guys are properly trained to instruct guys on things like loading, quick follow-up, single loading, multiple loadings, etc. So I'd say that's also great advice, a shooting school like that for a client coming with their double rifle for the first time.
No, most definitely a very good idea, that.